Good afternoon, Mr. Pacho's class, and welcome to another lesson here in Trigonometry.
That's not bad. Pretty good, pretty good. All right, thank you. All right, so trigonometry functions, not acute angles. So now, what's the word acute mean? What does acute mean, you people back there now?
The angle is acute.
Thank you. Less than 90. So if it's not acute, that mean is 90 and over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. 90 and over. It just says non-acute, 90 and over. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, so we're always going to start these angles from a certain point. Okay, whatever you have, you're going to start from your 0, 0 on the unit circle. And my 0, 0 is going to be here. So if I go this way, this is going to be 0, 0 on the unit circle. And so I'm going to trace it over this way. And when I'm trying to find my angle, I'm only finding the angle. Okay, if it goes over this way, I only want to find the angle from here to here. From the x-axis to my line. Same thing goes from here. I start here, go all the way down, but I'm only trying to find from the x-axis to my line. All the way over here. This one, x-axis to my line. Right here. That's all I'm going to find for all of these. From the x-axis to my line. So it's actually going to be a bit of an equation depending on where we're at. So let me show you why. All right. This is 218. Okay? In 218, what quadrant is this?
3.
It's quadrant 3. Okay, quadrant 3, right? So this line right here is how much?
180.
That line right there is 180, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now to get the reference angle this, I'm going to go here, but then I only want the piece from here to here, right? So what would I do to figure that one out?
Subtract 218
180.
You're really close, you're really close.
Who, me?
You had it backwards, you had it backwards.
2.
There we go, so it should be 218 minus 180.
That's what I said.
You said 180 from, okay? So 218 minus 180. Okay, yes, that's what you meant, but I want to make sure you're saying in the right order, okay? All right, so 218 minus 180, that's going to give me my reference angle.
38.
It's going to be how much? 38. So it's going to be 38 degrees. So that's my reference angle here. Now, it's always going to be like this in quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, which is this quadrant right here, in quadrant 3, it should always be my theta minus 180. Okay?
About in quadrant 2.
We're going to do that one next.
Yes.
Oh, wait, not yet. So we're on this one now. Dang. All right, so this is 1387. Is that more than 360?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more than 7.
You've got to subtract it a few times.
Okay, well, let's subtract it a few times. So let's watch that. So it's going to be 1387. So I'm going to go to my thing here. So my calculator, go to my scratch pad to figure out what my reference angle is going to be. So 1387, that's too much. 87 minus 360. 360 because every 360 is another circle, right? Okay, so subtract that. Still too much. Minus 360.
3 times it goes to 307.
Okay, still too much. Minus 360 again. There we go, 307. So 307 is my reference angle because it has to be between, my reference angle, I'm looking for my pen. My reference angle is always going to be between 0 and 360. The reference angle is always between 0 and 360. So that means I'm not using negative angles. I'm using only positive angles for this. So in between 0 and 360, so that's too much, and we said that this angle is what? So this is 307 degrees, right? So, now, think about this. Okay, I want to go all the way to here, right? But I only want the distance from here this way, right? Because I said from my line to the x-axis. If I go all the way to that line, what would that be?
270.
Not 270, keep going.
Oh, 360.
That would be 360, right? I went 360, but I only went from here to here, right?
So 360 minus 307.
Very good. 360 minus 307. So this one, for quadrant 4, it should be 360 minus theta. So every single time in quadrant 4, it's going to be like that. So 360 minus, that's a minus sign, 307 is going to give me. So my reference angle is 53 degrees here. Make sense? Okay, so again, quadrant 4 is 360 minus theta. And theta is whatever my angle is that they're giving me. All right, let's go with another one. Oh, here it is. So in quadrant 2, because I only went from here to here, right?
Yeah.
So I went with 180 minus my angle to get my reference angle. And in quadrant 1, it is what it is. These are going to be very helpful for this every single time. You're going to have a bunch of these on the test.
So what's quadrant?
Yes, I said test and people
So
pay
wait.
attention again.
Mister.
When's the test?
Do you want it tomorrow?
No,
Yeah, of course.
not really.
So for the theory, so it says 1, which means quadrant 1. What does that mean if it's,
In quadrant 1?
yeah, what does that
Yeah, it is what it is.
So-
So the reference angle is because...
98 degrees equals 98.
No, not 98, because 98 is too much for quadrant 1.
Oh,
Let's say 88.
Yeah,
88 is still quadrant 1, right?
yeah.
Okay, so 88 will be 88. 98 would put it into quadrant 2 because that's more than 90, right? 90 is straight up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you solve quadrant? Where are you going?
Quadrant 2, what would I do?
Swimming.
Oh, 180 minus theta.
180 minus theta. So if this was 120, right? If that's 120, it would be 180 minus 120, which would give me 60-degree angle from there to there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking for.
What about 9?
At 90?
Yeah.
90 is right there in the middle. So 90 would put me at 90. So that is one of the axes right there. So if it's on the axes, okay, it would be 90 degrees. So I'll use this one. It's 90 degrees to go from there to there, or it's also 90 degrees to go from there to there. It's 90 from both sides, right? Yeah. So that's one of the axes. So it doesn't have that same rule, because only things in the quadrants count like that. If it's on the axis, it doesn't count like that. All right, so find the 6 trigonometric functions for 210. All right, so let's take a look. So 210, I already have it out here, right? So did the math, and it was 210, right? Minus 180, which gives it 30 degrees. Gave it 30 degrees there, right? Okay, it's already on there. Okay, so now for those values. So we're going to find the 6 trigonometric values for that. So, couple things. Now, we know that everything is going to be exactly the same as these other ones that we've done. Is this a 30, 60, 90 triangle? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, we learned 30, 60, 90 in the last unit, right? So, in this case right here, what was each one of these values?
1 and 2.
So this was,
2.
1.
so yeah, this would be 1, this would be 2, right? And this would be square root of 3, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And all the 30, 60, 90, it's always going to be like that. But now look at the values though. If this is in quadrant 3, the x value goes to the left. So this value is negative. Very good. Now, and what about the y value going down?
Negative.
It's also negative. So that's going to be a negative and a negative, right?
How does that equal 2?
It's always going to be twice whatever this value is. And radius is always positive, right?
Yeah.
So-
I'm just confused how radian 3 and 1 equal.
Oh, this is just from the previous set of notes where I gave you what a 30, 60, 90 was. and I said, hey, this is always going to be 1, this is always going to be 2, and that's going to be always square root of 3. So like if this was 5, hey, if this was 5, this would be 10, and this would be 5 square root of 3.
Oh, the square
It was a
root of
pattern.
4 is 2.
Yeah, that was that one. That was the 45-degree one. Is that the one you were thinking of?
No, I was just no. Never.
It's alright, okay. So now that we have these from our previous unit, so let's go through and do some values. So sine of 30, right? Because that's my reference angle I'm using here. Sine of 30. Sine was,
1 over 2.
okay, so it's some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid, right? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So if this is my reference angle, my opposite would be negative 1 over 2. So cosine of 30, that's my reference angle here. It's actually of 210, but for what we're using here, okay?
It'll be 2 over rad 3. Negative rad 3 over 2.
Negative rad 3 over 2, right? Okay, because it's adjacent over hypotenuse. Next one's going to be tangent of 30.
Negative 1 over negative rad 3.
There we go. So negative 1 over negative rad 3. Can't leave it like that, so I have to
Times
rationalize, right? So rad 3, which is going to give me
negative rad 3 over 2.
negative negative makes it positive. So it's going to be rad 3 over 3. There we go. Next one's going to be cosecant 30. So cosecant is what over what?
Negative rad 3 over negative 1.
2 over negative 1.
It's reciprocal, remember? It's reciprocal as a sine. So if sine is negative 1/2, the reciprocal would be 2 over negative 1. There we go. So 2 over negative 1. Next one's going to be secant 30. Secant 30 is going to be what over what?
2 over negative rad 3.
Very good. So 2 over negative rad 3. Rationalize.
Negative 2 rad 3 over 3.
Very good. And my last one's cotangent. Cotangent's reciprocal of tangent, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be negative rad 3
Over negative 1.
over negative 1, which just gives me a positive rad 3. You guys will get more into this. As soon as we're done with this, you'll have the whole unit circle done and be like, oh, I got this. Okay. By the time we're done here. Not today though. Hey, look, it's all there anyway. Bleh. Okay. So go ahead, fill in the blanks as needed. Anyway. All right. Step 1. Finding or any non-quadrangle, that's the word I was looking for. If it's on the axis, it's called the quadrangle. So theta is greater than 60, or if it's less than 0, or greater than 360, less than 0. So I have to find cofunctions, or not cofunctions, coterminal. If it is like what we did today, if it's more than 360, I start subtracting 360. If it's less than 360, I subtract or I add 360. More than, words work. If it's less than 0, so if I have negative numbers, I add 360. If it's more than 360, I subtract. Okay, and right there. Okay. Find the exact value of cosine of negative 240. So, to go back to what I just said, my intervals from 0 to 360. Is this inside that interval? Say no.
No.
Okay, is it too much or not enough?
Not enough.
Not enough. So what do I need to do?
Add 360.
Add 360. So you people right now, calculators, add 360.
To what? Negative 240?
120.
I don't know.
So you're saying it's 120?
20.
120. So I did. Okay. So I found that one. So it's 120 degrees. It's my reference angle, right? Yes. 120 degrees is the reference angle. So that means from here to here is 120 degrees, right? But that puts me in what quadrant? 2. So I need to find from here to here, right? So if it's in quadrant 2, what did I say to do?
180 minus theta, which is
Very good. 180 minus theta.
60.
So it should be 180 minus 120. Gives me 60 degrees. So that means that here is 60, right? So if that's 60 degrees, that means that this triangle is going to look like this, right? That's 60 there. So that means that this side over here, this side would be what value? That one's my R, but what number would I put there?
Oh, 30.
Nope. This one right here. What,
Oh, right there.
that's a R, right?
Yeah.
What was the R value in a 30, 60, 90? That one's going to be 2. What's this one right here? 1.
Mister, I can't see.
I'm sorry.
Is that one the square root of 3?
Yep, and this is also square root of 3 over here on this side. In a 30, 60, 90, 1, 2, and rad 3 over here.
And
Okay, so let's go through and find exact value of cosine. We know cosine caught another hippie. So cosine of 60. So what is adjacent to 60?
-1.
Very good, so that's -1. So it's -1 to the left, so it's -1, so there's adjacent. What is my hypotenuse? 2. So cosine of -240 gave me -1/2.
Oh, that's confusing. But okay, I got it.
Make sense? Hopefully? And I think I'm just gonna, this one doesn't have a C, does it? No, okay. Find the exact value of tan, 675.
You gotta subtract the 1.
Is it enough? Is it too much or not enough?
Too much.
Too much, from 0 to 360. If it's too much, you start by doing what? Subtract. Do that right now, please. Subtract your 360s.
That's 315. That's 315.
You get what?
315.
Negative. No.
You're saying it's 315?
Yeah.
Okay, so we went with 675 minus 360, and we came up with 315?
No, 15.
Just 15?
315.
315.
And then you subtract 360 from 315.
Okay, so now for this one right here, since we have this,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
what quadrant are we in?
4.
4. So we're going to use that for a reference angle. So if this is quadrant 4, right? If this is quadrant 4, what was my formula for quadrant 4?
360 minus theta.
There we go. So 360 minus theta. So it's going to be 360,
Minus theta. Minus 315.
315, which gives me
45.
45.
45. So my angle is 45 here, right?
Half of
So there's a 45. So that makes this a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right?
Yeah.
So let's do some values here. So in a 45, what is this number right here?
1.
1. What is this number right here going down?
2.
It's not 2.
Radian 2. Square root of 2.
Square root of 3.
Square root of 2.
Nope.
No, it's square root of no. Right.
45, no. 40. Go look at yesterday's or last week's.
Negative 2.
Nope.
It's right 2.
Negative right 3.
Pay attention here.
There's nothing on here.
She wasn't on it.
I'm
Oh, is it
serious,
1?
wasn't.
Can I go back? Mister, isn't it?
Negative right 3. No.
Check out the notes. Look at the 2.1 notes. 45, 45, 90. No.
Why?
Answer the question first.
6.
Said -1.
Still wrong. Yes, it is -1.
She said
Oh, I was close though.
Why is it -1?
On here it says it's right 2.
it's to the left.
Okay, because that one's not there yet. Okay, so 1, 1, and what is the R in this one? That one's rad 2. If you guys remember when we were doing the 45, 45, 90s, it always came out to 1, 1, red, 2. So this would be, so if I had 5, it was 5 and 5 red, 2. Do you guys remember those? I know you guys partied too much this weekend, so you can't remember anything. What was? No, sit! I ain't done with you. Quit your whining.
Can I go to the restroom?
30.
No. Go ahead.
What if it was
Y'all shut up. I'm trying to finish these notes so you can actually pass. Okay, go ahead now. Say it again.
What if it was a 30?
What was a 30? Then that would be a different triangle. That would be like my previous triangles with the 30, 60, 90. This is a 45, 45, 90. This is a 45, 45, 90. So we have 1, and because this value right here goes down, the y value has to go down, so the y value has to be negative. Now, this one right here is asking for tangent. We know tangent, right? Tangent. What is tangent? It's opposite over adjacent. So, from this angle right here, what is opposite? -1. And what is adjacent?
1.
So tangent of 675 would be a -1 over 1, which just gives me -1 as my answer. Okay, I guess I'm done with you people anyway.